Commander Baldwin orders us to the command room. I save the game because I want to try and provoke the robots.
Agent 5, you are hereby ordered to proceed to the command room by order of Commander Baldwin.
It doesn't work. The robots don't actually try and attack you, thankfully. And then I realised that I can ramp the sound effects, because the voice and the ambience was in a bad mix. And I try and figure out how to get back to the game, and I manage it.
Agent 5, you are hereby
Which sounds a bit better, because now you can hear the voices a bit more.
by order of Commander Baldwin.
And this is the Temporal chamber, the Pegasus device that I now hump the railing. And we got two options. The question is, do I walk the left way or the right way? And this would be the wrong way. But it's fine, we get to find ourselves at the ready room, hump the railing. I decide to take a gander. I mean, we're already in trouble as it is, so why not? There's clearly no one here, so it's not a very ready room. It's not like Picard's ready room with like tea and little model starships and stuff. This is the historical log access key, and the Uda one is for biochips. You can't do anything with either of them. This is a complete waste of time, other than seeing the things and knowing where they are, of course. And I decide that we should probably go to the other side and get chewed out by the boss, because naturally that is what is going to happen. The boss is going to be like, "What are you playing at? How dare you be late?" Which, considering the training these guys would have to go through to become a time agent, you'd think that they'd be a bit more responsible than being late 4 times. I mean, this guy's nightmares is obviously a thing, but you'd think, come on, you're clearly militarily trained. I hump the desk. I walk around past these blue tubes of random energy. You can't touch them. And I get to sit down in this nice leather chair. All the chairs in this game are real leather.
So you finally decided to make it into work, and only 32 minutes late this time. Obviously you think TSA rules do not apply to you. Well, you are wrong. As of now, you're grounded. 1 week of review and data cleanup work in the command center, and you can start by reviewing TSA agent procedures, which you've obviously forgotten.
Yes, Dad. Look at me. I'm grounded. Ugh. So at this point you get to do some nice little bit of reviewing of just the procedures and what you're supposed to do in the event of certain what have you. It gives you some nice backstory on the TSAs. TSA. Which isn't like the American TSA.
The simplest analogy for the theory of time travel is that of a tunnel in time. When someone travels through time, a tunnel is created, which originates when the travel is begun and ends when the traveler lands. If some event in the past is altered, the theory states a rip occurs in the fabric of time, which gives rise to a temporal chain reaction. This chain reaction takes the form of a reality distortion wave. It could take anywhere from a few seconds to several hours to reach the present. Of those who aren't uncreated when the distortion wave hits, many will suddenly have a new life, and the past as we know it will cease to exist. Traveling back in time before the distortion wave hits allows an agent to jump over the distortion wave and escape its effects. As a member of the Temporal Protectorate, you alone will have the ability to jump back in time and prevent the corruption from ever happening. To ensure that it doesn't happen again, you'll have to discover the source of this disruption and bring it to a halt. One main caution exists. When time jumping, never allow the energy level that sustains the temporal link between yourself and the Pegasus device to be depleted, for integrity failure of this conduit will end any possibility of returning to the present.
Which is a bad thing, you know, unless you particularly want to get stuck somewhere.
In the event that it becomes necessary to restore the proper course of history, the procedure is as follows. As quickly as possible, get to the Ready Room and retrieve your assigned mapping and Pegasus biochips and the Journeyman key from their storage containers. The Pegasus biochip is your link to Pegasus. It is what allows you to be pulled back to the present at the touch of a button. Next, enter the Biosupport Suit generator. The Biosupport Suit is an indispensable element of the time travel process and is essential for your protection. After you're outfitted for travel and before the reality distortion wave reaches the present, you must jump to the year 200 million BC. Upon arriving, use the Journeyman key to open the storage vault and obtain the Journeyman historical log. Since it exists at a point in time previous to any likely temporal changes, this disk serves as a source of unaltered historical information. To discover how history has been changed, return to the Temporal Security Annex and insert the Journeyman disk into the computer. It will be cross-referenced with the historical log which was left behind and altered by the reality distortion wave. Knowing how, when, and where the past was changed should give you the information you need to restore the proper flow of history. A word of caution. Time is very sensitive to change. In order to keep from altering history further, try to solve the problems you encounter without changing anything. As a rule, a temporal protectorate agent should never interfere with any events of the past, never leave anything behind that came from a different time, never remove any historically significant objects from an environment, and above all, an agent should never interact with beings from another time zone.
Fairly fundamental, straightforward things, though there are a number of flaws to the logic that crop up in a little bit of time. I, of course, have my trusty notebook with me.
Particle Accelerating Space-Time Transporter V1, otherwise known as Pegasus, was the brainchild of part-time historian and full-time physicist Dr. Elliot Sinclair. In 2311, after seeing Sinclair's time-bending experiments, the government contracted him to build a full-scale operational time machine. The purpose of this device was to explore our past, as well as to discover the truth behind many disputed historical events. Just 4 years after the project was begun, the world's first time machine underwent its first test run. However, due to mounting concerns by individuals who believed that the machine would be used not only to explore history, but also to alter it, the test run would be the first and last time that the machine would be used for research purposes. The project was discontinued, and Sinclair was forbidden to ever work on time distortion projects again. Time travel, now a reality, the government secretly set up the Temporal Security Annex as a means to safeguard history from potential sabotage. You, the members of the Temporal Protectorate, are among the very few who know of its existence.
Uh-oh. It's already hitting the fan.
Dear God, it's finally happened. And with you of all people on duty, Gage. This is it. It all depends on you. Get to the ready room. Let's do it.
Easy, man. This definitely looks like a rip. 15th of May, 2112. It's the start of the temporal distortion wave. And now I have to run. Run to the ready room before time changes. I forget to write down the date. But it doesn't actually seem to matter. As it turns out, the date, it gives you the date anyway, later on. But first we have to run all the way across to the ready room, which you'd think, you know, if you've only got seconds before a temporal change occurs, probably put the ready room next to this command center. Maybe don't make them run all the way across the hallway. And then grab this stuff through some very slow authentication procedures.
Temporal RIP emergency confirmed. Access authorized for Agent 5G, Blackwood. Preparation complete for Mapping Biochip, Pegasus Biochip.
Because let's face it, whilst the computer's doing this, the timeline's just rippling in a bubbling ball of fire behind you. Yeah, probably, you know, mosey, speed it up just a touch. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and run across and get the so-called key. Not that I can actually turn the right way to face that thing without walking past it and then going back.
Temporal rip emergency confirmed. Initiating protocol. Access authorized for Agent 5G Blackwood.
You probably have, you know, done all this authorization when the emergency happened. You know. That is the key. The Journeyman key. It looks like a very strange thing. There's a reason for it being that shape, which we'll see when we get there. And this is our biosuit generator.
Temporal rip emergency mission in progress. Pegasus access authorization confirmed for Agent 5G Blackwood. Prepare for biosuit encapsulation. Ultrasonic body type assessment.
No, seriously, the timeline is just coming undone. We don't really have time for this. You know, maybe just a rubber suit would have worked. Yeah, just this. It's okay. Just the end of humankind as we know it.
Inside turbolift.
The first huge oversight, which I don't even realize until later on, is that this biosuit doesn't have a helmet. What happens if you teleport somewhere where there isn't any air, or it's full of sulfur or something? I hump the Pegasus device. And here we find ourselves walking straight around it, desperately trying to find some way to get into the blasted thing. And failing. Miserably. There we are. We click the pony, which does the trick. And here we are, with our full power Pegasus device with real leather seats. Oh yeah.
Agent 5, do not attempt to leave Pegasus. TSA protocol strictly mandates that the Pegasus remain sealed from all outside contact once a temporal repair mission is initiated. Remember, this protocol exists to protect the TSA agent from the effects of temporal anomalies that may have occurred in the corrupted time stream.
All right, Gage. The world has only one hope, and it's you. I pray that after the rip hits, TSA will still be here for you to transport back to. Good luck.
Yeah, that's their first huge oversight. It doesn't even really give you much of a chance to
You must
read that stuff.
immediately activate Pegasus before the approaching temporal distortion wave reaches the present. You will be traveling back to the year 200 million BC to recover the Journeyman historical log. After obtaining the disk, you will initiate your auto-recall function, returning you to the Pegasus. Once you have returned, you must compare the corrupted and uncorrupted histories of the planet and determine the most likely origins of the distortions.
You must immediately activate this thing. Let me just give you a long description about what's going to happen. You do, just push the button. You can save first. That's okay, I'll allow it. I'm just wondering whether, if I hang around long enough, the game will end. Which I'm sure it will. And then we get to do our first temporal jump. With uncontrolled electricity flying around. Because naturally, that's what it does. We're rippling through time, and it's sickening. And there we are, in the past. I question that the year 200 million BC maybe wouldn't look quite so evolved, but you know what? That's actually fairly comfortable as far as dinosaurs and stuff go.
Warning. You are currently 124 meters above the rocky shoreline below. Please exercise appropriate caution and dexterity.
Of course. And of course, even in the past we can't escape the special edition. Any reason to have a pterodactyl flying around? Alright, easy. And of course, I have to try it, because naturally I want to see it. It's still funny. Faceplant. As you plummeted to your death, the last thought to go through your mind was that you should have paid more attention to the AI warning. You'll note that I've only got 67 out of 95 at the Caldoria and the TSA. There's a reason for that, which we'll get to later. And you'll see that biosuit's not very well camouflaged. And so we find ourselves in the long, distant, prehistoric past, where, you know, you'd hope that someone wouldn't think to just come back really, really early and plant some sort of hideous, biologically devastating virus that sets back evolution by millions of years. I hump a wall. I'm quite good at humping walls. I'm just sort of running around trying to figure out where the frack I'm going. Any direction seemed as good as any other. Just exploring this strange, beautiful world. Thankfully there's a breathable atmosphere at 200 million BC. I don't know how accurate that is, but hey. And I know I have a flashlight. And look, there's even this thing here. I exclaim that I've found the Journeyman thing. And I proceed to pump this handle expecting something to happen. You do have to find this thing before you find the Journeyman key, of course. Not the key, the lock, rather. I'm questioning whether I need to pump this thing, like the charge handle from Jurassic Park, where you pump it 3 times, and then it activates. I work out at this stage it's a power generator. And I decide to pump the handle a few more times for luck, because why not? One good pump deserves another. It's okay, I only pump it a few more times. I'm just being really thorough about pumping it. I do enjoy pumping it. I was expecting there to be like a status light that says on or something. But hey, it's all nicely charged now. Cannot complain about charge. And now I just try and decide, where do I go now? Well, as it turns out, back the way we came. Because it was a T-junction after all. Hump the wall. Hump that wall too. And finally make our way back to that T-junction. I suppose it's more of a Y-junction, but hey. Watch out for the special edition.
Warning. You are currently 124 meters above the rocky shoreline below. Please exercise appropriate caution and dexterity.
Naturally. I'm just going back to check to see whether or not I've gone the right way. I have, but you need to be sure in these circumstances. It's not a complex path, but better safe than sorry. And so of course I walk up to the cliff edge, take a look around, find just something crazy. Another cave. I accidentally interrupt the AI. She's saying that she's detected a life sign of some form inside the cave.
Currently detecting more biorhythms from a rather large reptilian life form. Caution is advised.
And hey, look, a clutch of eggs. That couldn't possibly be bad. Naturally, I make a save state. Their words, not mine. It is actually called a save state. There's nowhere to go to in this cave. There's no second pump. Just eggs. Just a little trap. Damn. Just get immediately just chomped. Dinner time. The High Solophodon didn't know of your mission here. She only knew that your soft flesh would make a perfect meal for her hatchlings. But, you know, 10 out of 35, that's a good score, right? And thankfully, bam, straight back. Which means now we get to walk back the other way. And lo and behold, it's a freaking Stargate.
Place hand on scanner for ID verification.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, how durable is this thing? Because clearly it's made out of decent metal and what have you. And sure, okay, maybe it doesn't last 200 million years. But even so, this is some pretty advanced technology. You just leave them lying around. Really, that walking sound. Oh, that's impressive. I like that sound. No, and of course the bridge retracts behind you, and then you get some hot balls you can fondle.
Warning. You are currently 100.
Yes, AI. I know. Slap that key on, and there it is, a CD-ROM. In the year 2318, they still use CD-ROMs.
Agent 5, you have accomplished your mission and recovered the Journeyman historical log. You must now return quickly to the Temporal Security Annex and review the disk.
I question now what I'm supposed to do, because there's no bridge, which means that there's no way back. No way back from here. Check my inventory. Yep, thinking about it. Thinking about how I could possibly get back across here. There's no handpad. I'm trying to access my biochips, but I can't remember the biochip hotkey. And of course, this doesn't actually tell you what the key map is, which is really unhelpful. Desperately tapping buttons. Make a save state. And of course you fall off the cliff. Hump the wall. Hump that wall too. Hump that wall 3. I raise my hands to the air and question what the frack I'm supposed to do. In a moment I'll check the hotkeys again, I believe, trying desperately to reach my biochips. Because I think that there must be something to do with the biochips. It must be. I grab the CD-ROM. I'm checking for some sort of recall device that I have in my inventory. And of course there's nothing. I push all the biochip buttons and nothing happens. Checking the F keys. I eventually put my own hotkey on there. And there we go. Total recall.
Agent 5, what are you doing joyriding in the Pegasus? Your research reconnaissance mission was not scheduled until... Wait a minute, what's that uniform you're wearing? What's that look on your face? You have a lot of questions to answer, soldier. Once you have finished logging your report in the command center, I want to see you in my office immediately.
Which begs the first question. If not responding to the event causes us to become uncreated, how would he know who we are? Yeah. Yeah. I now question whether or not I'm supposed to leave the pod, because I'm pretty certain it said not to leave the pod. But you have to leave the pod. I make a save state, and I don't like it, but you have to leave the pod. Which is my first fundamental issue with the thing. Because if I was setting up a time agency, this pod would have the temporal shielding like Voyager has in Star Trek. And then you'd never have the agent leave the pod until the situation is resolved. Because the second you crack the pod open, you're exposing them to whatever the... You know, if this is a hostile agency, then they'd just shoot you, and you're dead, and that's it. The timeline is scuppered. But that's not what happens here. Thankfully, this place even still exists, let's face it. Because you'd think that it would be more of a... The pod travels back in time and acts as your base whilst you're in that time zone. Because then at least you have the pod to recall from. Whereas in this case you seem to be recalling to a fixed point in time and hoping that this place still exists. It doesn't quite make sense, because if this place doesn't exist, does the recall fail? Do you just teleport into a rock and die? Yeah. They didn't quite think of everything. Maybe they address it in the sequels. Who knows? The robots don't, you know, kill me or anything. I question whether the robots will attack you if you try to walk past them. They don't.
Agent 5, you are hereby ordered to proceed to the command room by order of Commander Baldwin.
They even get to use the same line they did last time. I even tried to walk all the way up, but the door does not open. And pushing the pooper doesn't work either. Hump the wall. And hey, all of this looks the same. They changed the colour of the door, that's about it. You would think that with an organisation for protecting the timeline, they'd have more staff members. And here we have the input CD. I question how it knows that I have the CD.
Checking for temporal discrepancies.
Please do. So what you're seeing here is a list of the time dates, and basically these are all of the locations that have been affected by the time ripple. And, you know, you'd wager you just have to sort out the first one and then the rest are irrelevant, right? So I'm very carefully writing down in my notepad the various dates and locations, because it's going to be important to make sure that we put the timeline back exactly how it was meant to be. And I doubt I'm going to be able to do that unless I write down exactly what is going to happen. So I'm just very carefully writing it down. Now, hopefully I remember to fix the video, because for some reason at this stage it's stuck on checking for temporal discrepancies. There we go. NORAD 6 Defense Complex, Morimoto Colony, Caldoria Airborne Metropolis, the World Science Center. And you can see you've got these chances of historical relevance with percentages. And it seems very, very clear that 2112 is the date that the rip occurs, and so is naturally the one that you would want to deal with, because if you deal with that, it stops the ripple effect, right? I'm thinking about it. I'm noting down the percentages, because I thought it might be important. I also assume that these are the 4 zones that you can time travel to in the game. Levels, as it were.